Does your PlayStation got no games? Got that itch for a new MMO game with immense customization? Great! Then my prescription for you is to download PSO2 New Genesis on August 31st. Yes, you will be able to finally play this game on a PlayStation console with crossplay between all current platforms or global, except Switch. I'm here to give you all the basic tips and advice before you start the game, to get you through the first 3 regions and save some Meseta for the endgame content. And there's also fashion. Fashion is a big thing in this game. Just know you don't have to fully follow my advice. You should just play how you want and only look to this video as a reference. Now let's get into this video. For ship selection, they're known as servers, and there's only 4 to choose from. You should probably just choose a ship where you have friends or your friends plan to join. This is because you can't play with other players from the other servers. You can, however, transfer your character to other ships, but that won't be free. So please choose wisely, and if you'd like to hang out with me and my community, join ship 4. Otherwise, you got 3 other ships to choose from there. Alright, with the ship selected, now you get to make your character. Just note that any race you select here, you can always change your race whenever you feel like. So, there are humans, Dumans, Newmans, and Castes. Every race has the exact same stats, and both have a type 1 and a type 2 gender, which is female male. So you can basically pick anything you think that looks nice without the worry of race-specific base stats. Also, a tip for players who want to save money, you can stick with just type 1A, which is the male humanoids. The prices for type 1 outfits are much cheaper in player shops. Okay, for class selection, I want to keep this video as short as possible, so I'm not going to dive into any of the classes, but you will want to try them out for yourself and see which feels right for you. Once you do select your class, you should keep in mind of what type of damage your class can do. This is because each class is determined by its weapon, and if you examine the weapon icon of your class, you will see one of the 3 colors. Blue for precision damage, orange for melee damage, and finally yellow for technique damage. With this information, you should be able to maximize the damage your main class can do, or you can build a hybrid build for your main and subclass. But you really should just focus on your main class damage for now, until you find a hybrid build you want to do later in the game. Okay, now before I jump into the earning Meseta section of this video, I want you to update your player ID name. Why? Because it can create confusion among groups, alliances, and your friends list. Because by default, your account generates a username which displays a PN followed by numbers, and whoever adds you will see that and not your character's main name, when you're offline at least. But do not worry, you can always update this ID free of charge, but only once. And I mean only once. If you make a mistake, you're gonna need to shell out maybe $25 to update it again. So please guys, follow the prompts you see when proceeding through the character creation and server selection process. Now in case if you do miss this, you can always find this option in the character select screen menu. Okay, time for the currency that brings you fashion and gear. And luckily for you, a lot of those items can be purchased off of player shops. And there are a number of ways to get some easy Meseta daily, and that's from Alpha Reactors in Alio, Stellar Fragments in Redum, and Snow's Ore, if I pronounce that correctly, in Kavaris. Each of these resources respawn every day and can be converted into quick Meseta. Though you might not like searching for Alpha Reactors in Alio, but thanks to your mag, you have access to its sonar to locate them. You can go to your mag settings and enable the valuable sonar option for your mag to pick up their location and guide you to the reactors. The mag sonar can also be used for hunting gold and red boxes and even ore. Now, you know what you can earn daily. Let me tell you what you can earn weekly. You can receive up to 800,000 Meseta per week from completing all of your weekly tasks. And that's not all. If you even want a little more Meseta, you can also join one of the top 20 alliances on the ARC's record, essentially the leaderboard, which can net you about 100k to 500k depending on your alliance's rank each week. Here's a little tip though. There are red boxes spread out across every region that can reward you up to 10,000 Meseta and or useful gear. So if you see one of those, you better break them open. Now, if you want to enjoy the end game, you're going to want to level up to the max level. And the max level as of uploading this video is level 60. Now, you don't have to rush it because you can easily reach level 60 with your first class by completing the main story and all of its side tasks. But if you hit a wall or really want to level up more classes as quickly as possible, there are ways. And one of those ways, or at least the quickest way, is through Yellow Battle Dia. There's at least one of these in each region and can be completed with 4 players or less. They are very easy to complete and give a large sum of EXP, along with some items used for enhancing your gear. Maybe the only issue with these dungeons that they require 5 common triggers, which can only be dropped by enemies or rewarded through tasks, events, and more. You can either buy these triggers through the player's shop, or have a friend with some triggers host the dungeon and join you. Everyone that participates benefits from it. Another way of leveling can be through PSE Burst in combat zones. These are trial events that spawn unlimited waves of enemies until the timer runs out. When you start the game, it will be one of your first tasks to trigger a PSE Burst, and this should give you a brief idea on what triggers it. But if you want my advice, it's more annoying to trigger a PSE Burst on your own, so I'd move to a block with maybe 5 to 7 players and work with that group. Players will defeat groups of enemies that will either randomly increase or decrease your PSE level gauge. Once your PSE gauge is level 4, you'll want to focus on completing a trial to trigger the PSE Burst. Bonus tip, if a weather storm happens to occur, your PSE Burst gauge will automatically increase to level 4 and remain at level 4 until the storm is over. So you can really just get up to maybe 2 to 3 PSE bursts without much effort. So now let's discuss what your battle power is for. It's a comprehensive quantification of the player's stats and equipment in case your weapons and units performance. Some content such as participation in urgent quests and battle dia require a certain level of battle power. So please keep this in mind, you will encounter a few quests requiring you to increase your battle power in order to continue the story. There are several ways to increase your battle power, such as leveling up, applying skill points, using all skill points in both main and subclasses skill trees, weapon and armor stats, and finally unlocking your weapon's potential. You have an idea on how battle power works, and now you want to try increasing it through upgrading your gear. Well, you don't have to worry about that too much because early in your main quest line, you'll be speaking with Leo Lin, and she will provide you with a complete set of Renaza weapons and units, which are very powerful compared to the gear we had a year ago in the first 20 levels. I recommend keeping and upgrading the Renaza gear because it can definitely support you through Realio and Redem regions without making a huge dent into your in-game wallets. Now, Augments. If you don't know by the word itself, there are add-ons that can be applied to your gear to increase damage your character can produce, or other stats to help balance out your character. Augments help you build a gear to match your playstyle, like increasing your photon power to spam attacks, or increase your HP to take big hits. I can't go into too much detail because that will take up too much time, and I'm trying to really keep this video as brief as possible. Just know that most augments you use will have a percentage of successfully or failing to affix to your gear, and you're only able to apply up to 10 of the same augment to increase the chances for it to affix to your gear. I think eventually I'll make a video of the augment tree without a flowchart, but that's another time, so look forward to that. Let's talk about farming, which will lead to your daily buff. Okay, the game doesn't really have any life skills, but you can still mine or harvest ores, fish, vegetables, and fruit. Ore can be your main resource for upgrading your augments and gear, and sometimes exchanging for new gear. All fish, vegetables, and fruit will be used for your food buff. This will increase your stats for a short time, and you can make multiple recipes based on what stats you would like to increase. While we're on the subject of food recipes, there's also another buff you can get through, which is from the Region Mag. The Region Mag can be fed almost anything, but it's recommended to use any resource it prefers, which will be highlighted in green. If you feed it enough food to reach 400 points, you can get the full attack, EXP, and rare drop rate buff. If enough players feed that same mag until its stomach reaches 100%, everyone will receive a Region Mag buff with another buff. You can find these region mags on your world map and hover over each one to see a description of what the buff can provide you. Also, another tip when using the world map. Each region can have up to 50 marks, which you can place anywhere on the map and name them. So if you find a nice ore deposit or spot a boss spawn, you can just mark it on the map. Alright, now we can move to SG. So you may have noticed another type of currency in the game known as Star Gems, which is SG for short. SG can be earned through earning titles in the game, logging in daily, and various other ways. SG can be very useful for extending the size of your storage, buying tickets to increase EXP gain or your rare drop rate, to even unlocking emotes, costumes, accessories through the SG Scratch. Another tip is that some of the red boxes I mentioned earlier can hold up to 20 SG instead of Meseta. So you, again, you want to break those red boxes whenever you see them. Now we finally made it to AC and the premium segment of this video. This is where you can spend your hard-earned money and convert it to Arcs Cash to scratch on banners for new cosmetics, motions, emotes, and accessories that are almost released on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. I would like to also include that this game doesn't really have any pay-to-win microtransactions, just more like a pay for convenience, but it's mostly for cosmetics. There's not much advice to give here other than not to worry about FOMO, which is the fear of missing out. A lot of these banners do make a return months later, and you can always save Meseta and buy it from the personal shop. Oh, sometimes they end up on the mission pass for free. But I do have to mention Premium. It's essentially a subscription option of this game that can cost $13 per month, and it provides the following: 10% EXP, Meseta, and rare drop rate buff from Quick Food, premium login bonus panel rewards, increases to side tasks limits from 20 to 40, an auto sell feature, earn gold rewards from the mission pass, can be obtained with 100 SG if you don't want to buy premium storage that can store up to 400 items, access to a total of 30 costume slots, access to more customizable menus and camera angles for screenshots, and the ability to freeze your emotes. And hopefully they'll add more to the premium set to make it more worth it. And I think that covers mostly everything you need to know to get through the game for the first time on your PS4 or PS5. Now, everything I mentioned in this video is just basic knowledge you should have of the game and is intended to get you through the first 3 regions without wasting much of your resources. There's still a lot of features I couldn't cover on this video, like augment trees, titles, personal shop, and more, but I'll eventually cover these topics in a future video. If you'd like to see more videos like these, please check out my YouTube channel and subscribe. Also, hit the bell notification icon. I also stream on my Twitch channel, Phantom Yosha, almost every day at 7 p.m. Eastern Time, so please visit me there if you have any more questions about the game. Anyway, I'm out. Everyone stay spoopy.